Okay.
There is now a potential criminal component to the controversy surrounding the VA hospital in Phoenix. Federal prosecutors are looking into allegations the medical center kept a secret waiting list to cover up for long delays for veterans looking for care. A doctor claims the falsified records led to dozens of preventable deaths. Those disclosures came from the Inspector General following testimony yesterday by the Department's Secretary Eric Shinseki. Shinseki, who's a four-star general, was grilled by the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee. He told lawmakers he is as angry as anyone.
Allegation, any adverse incident like this makes me mad as hell. I could use stronger language here, Mr. Chairman, but in deference to the committee, I won't. If any allegations are true, they're completely unacceptable. If any are substantiated by the Inspector General, we will act.
With us now from my hometown of Pensacola, Florida, the chairman of the House Committee on Veterans Affairs, Republican Congressman Jeff Miller. Jeff, so good to have you here. First of all,
good morning, Joe.
How's our hometown, how's Pensacola doing after the flooding?
Well, folks are getting back to normal. Unfortunately, they're going to be a long way to go before people are actually, some of them, back in their homes. Your old house on Piedmont was flooded, had about 5 foot of water in it.
It's unbelievable. Wow. Unbelievable, yeah. And you talked about a river runs through it, Gene. My on Piedmont in Cordova Park, it was just a river.
It never happened before.
Never had standing water, even in even in hurricanes. Wow. So it's just out of left field. Well, let's go ahead and talk, Mr. Chairman, for the purpose for which we called you, and that is Shinseki's, General Shinseki's testimony yesterday on Capitol Hill. A lot of veterans are angry. You know it better than anybody. What did you hear yesterday that you're going to act on?
I saw a very terrible appearance and performance by the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. I don't know that he is capable of making the change that needs to be made to the bureaucracy that exists out there. They are still in a defensive mode. They're not coming forward and telling all of the facts. Yesterday, now, we hear that 3 other people have put on leave in Gainesville at the VA hospital down there for keeping a second waiting list in the mental health area.
What I don't understand, we had John Tester on, a guy I like and respect very much. There seem to be quite a few people, Jeff, who are circling the wagons for a system that is just indefensible, and for a secretary whose record over the past couple of years is indefensible as well. We've been talking about this, you and I, privately now for, what, a year or two, and you've been talking about the terrible challenges that veterans are facing and what you're doing to try to help out. But things aren't getting better fast enough. Isn't it time for a change at the top?
Well, I've said that I'm not ready to call for the Secretary's resignation, but yesterday it's very clear that one of 2 things are happening. Either the Secretary is not being told the truth by his subordinates, and I think that is probably more so the case than anything else, or he just isn't able to move the bureaucracy of 330,000 employees in a direction that is much more acceptable to the veterans that they're supposed to be serving.
Let's bring in from the Pentagon, NBC News Chief Pentagon Correspondent Jim Miklaszewski. Mick, you talked about how General Shinseki just didn't seem to get it. When you looked at that testimony yesterday, testimony that Chairman Miller and a lot of other veterans were really concerned about, and he just almost a flat effect there. And I saw exactly what you were talking about. I'm sure more questions are going to be raised, and the biggest question is, why does the Obama administration want him to stay in this position after failing as much as he did over the past couple of years?
Well, Joe, I must say that each time Secretary Shinseki says he's not going to resign, he certainly sounds a little more determined as opposed to just saying, I serve at the pleasure of the president. But, you know, as we've said before, the VA is the most entrenched bureaucracy, probably, in the U.S. government. And I talked to several veterans there at the hearing yesterday who said that they so frustrated at their inability to get access to the VA medical system that they've abandoned the system entirely and gone off in an entirely different direction. And I had a very brief conversation with Senator John McCain in the hallway up there in the Dirksen building, and he said the only solution to this, we can't dissolve the VA, we don't have enough money to fund everything that the VA needs, is to provide veterans with some kind of alternative, some kind of federal programs that are an alternative to the VA. And already one veteran I talked to said that he worked it so he could leave the VA and re-enter the military's TRICARE, which in his case provided about the same level of care, but it gave him instantaneous access and actually lower prescription costs. So I think Senator McCain has hit on something here. Whether you get rid of Shinseki or not may not make a difference at all unless that entire system itself is revamped.
Mark?
Congressman, I know you're not calling for the Secretary to step down, but give us a couple names of people who you think could step in today, take over the department, and fix this.
Well, I don't think it's time really to talk about people that would replace Secretary Shinseki. I think the important thing is, and Senator McCain is right on target, in the fact that it is such a large bureaucracy that one single person may not be able to do it. In fact, we've got to give the veterans an option to get the health care where they want to get it, when they want to get it. And the old method of forcing veterans to go where the VA wants them to go and giving them the health care when the VA wants them to get it is obviously failing the veterans.
Hey, really quickly, Jeff, you also talked about more problems in Central Florida. Give us a little more information about that.
Well, what the press is reporting down there now is that the administrators at the hospital said, look, if there's a list out there, if there's a secret list or a second list, come forward. We will give you amnesty. Nobody will be penalized for it, which actually is not their job to give them amnesty. But in fact, they found a list. The group that was down there that was doing the audit found a list, and it dealt with mental health provision.
Man, it is a mess. Jeff Miller, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on, and hope to see you very soon in Pensacola or in D.C. to talk about this some more.
Okay, Joe, thank you.
All right, Jim Miklashevsky, thank you as well. We greatly appreciate it. And coming up in our 8 o'clock